Hey guys, welcome to another one of my videos. I'm really excited about this one because this particular recipe has so many benefits for the body. And yeah, I'm just so excited. I've been wanting to do this for a little while. I've been using ghee now since December, so a couple of months, but because I'm working with a nutritionist as well, this was also highlighted as continuing this because of the benefits. So just to give you a brief overview to start with, I'm going to just briefly show you. I'm not going to go through the whole process because it would take too long, but I will just show you in snippets through the video the different stages and what you need to do. So this is about making your own ghee, which is a form of clarified butter, melted butter, and it's the resultant pure fat that you get from that you use and is called ghee. You can buy it in supermarkets. It is quite pricey, but that's mainly because of the process, and obviously it costs a lot because you're not going to get the quantity of butter that you actually use at the end of it as well. So you are paying for a dearer product, but it's very, very beneficial to your health. I prefer to make it myself. It's so easy to do. I'm just going to give you really simple steps, but also it's a little bit cheaper to do it this way. So the first thing I would suggest is that if you're getting any particular type of butter, that you go for an organic butter, free range cow butter. I particularly use this one. I've got no affiliations with it, but it's just something, it's local to me, Riverford Organic. It's the actual dairy. They're separate to the Riverford veg that you see online. They are local, they're based near us, near Totnes, and it's an unsalted butter. As you can see, this is one is particularly, or it's got cultures in it as well, which is even better. Now, this butter is about 1 kilogram in here I use, which is equivalent to about 250 gram standard butters that you can get in the supermarket or in a health store. As I say, it's really ideally important to get organic where you can, mainly because obviously you're going to get more benefit from it. There's less chemicals and less things added to organic. I know it's not completely pure, but you're still going to get closer to a better health benefit from using it. So if you're able to, then I would recommend that. Certainly grass-fed as well, if you can. Now, with it being unsalted, the reason it's unsalted, we don't really want to use salted butter for this because when we use it for cooking, it's going to possibly interfere with the taste buds a little bit of how much salt you add, or if you want to add more salt or not. So it's probably better when you're making ghee to go for unsalted for that reason, so that when you do a recipe, you can add as much salt as you need and it won't be too salty or too much. Because this actually, when you make it, has a very, very strong, buttery, nutty smell and flavour. It's very, very rich, so you don't need a lot of it, as I found out. It can be a bit overpowering when you start using it, so just small amounts and it will go a bit further as well. I actually, if I have any leftovers, I tend to pour them into a little bowl like this so that I reuse them, particularly when frying or anything, because, or even like roasting, because you know it's you can use it again, and it just saves a bit. So yeah, so I'm using 1 kilogram of butter. Now this was frozen. I've been slowly melting it in the background just to save a bit of time. The other things that you're going to need are some glass jars. Depending again on how much you make. I do it in bulk because it just is easier because of the process. It's just a bit time consuming, so it will take you about an hour to an hour and a half to make this. So I do it in bulk, it's just easier. So we've got some empty glass jars. The other thing you need is a funnel that will go in the jar and a coffee filter. Now, you can, some people use a nut milk bag, which you can buy online, and I have one and I have used one of those, but I did find that it doesn't get rid of all of the milk solids which float to the top. And if you want it to be dairy free, lactose free, then you really need to be aware that you're going to probably need to use a coffee filter. If you want to be doubly sure, you might need to sort of do it twice, but I would say once is probably enough. It does take a while to filter, but it's worth it because then you know that you're going to have that lactose-free, dairy-free, particularly if you have a problem with dairy. So those are the main things. I'm just going to take you over to this big pan. This is what I use. Now, I use an electric oven. I have melted it from frozen, so I've had to do it very slowly. But when I start the next process, I would say I'm going to go up to 5. I'm not going to go any higher than that because as it starts to come to the surface, which you will see shortly, what will happen is the milk solids go to the bottom initially, and then the surplus will start coming to the top. And what we do is we are going to use a wooden spoon to remove those and keep them separate, basically, because that is the milk solids that we need to remove from the ghee. You can see this lovely rich golden colour already where it's separated. So we're going to try and get rid of as many milk solids as possible, and you can see it already starting to bubble up. So this is what the process is. This can take quite some time, probably about 30-40 minutes or so just to remove these. The reason you don't want to put it up too much is because you don't want it to burn on the bottom. It will kind of caramelise a little bit on the bottom anyway, because this is quite a long process. But just so you're aware, it's better not to burn it on the bottom, and then you'll get a better result. So I'm going to let this just come to the surface a bit more first before we start removing it, and I'm just going to go into some of the benefits of ghee and how it can help you. Okay, so ghee is particularly rich in omega-3 acids. Omega-3 is particularly good at reducing bad cholesterol. So if you've got poor cholesterol levels, a lot of inflammation in the body, then obviously ghee is going to be of benefit. It's also rich in a butyric acid, which helps the body in producing T cells that fight diseases, free radicals. So it's because it obviously reduces inflammation as well. It's got a lot of antioxidants in it, so it makes it an anti-inflammatory. It's particularly good with increasing your brain function and your mood. So it stimulates the production of oxytocin in the brain, which is again helps to improve your mood and your function. It also is particularly good for the digestion. So anyone with any digestive issues, it contains butyric acid with the cells of your small intestine, which they love, and it's preferred source of energy. So it improves quality of absorption by your small intestine and decreases the acidic pH of your gastrointestinal tract. It's also very beneficial to the bones. Ghee is rich in vitamin K, which helps in calcium absorption. It helps in the prevention of tooth decay and prevents atherosclerosis. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Atherosclerosis. Anyway, you might want to Google all of this anyway, just to do your own research. It's particularly good for the skin, and it's very soothing, so it's like a moisturizer as well. Ghee has cooling properties, so it's antimicrobial and antioxidant. It's particularly high in vitamins A and E. It is often applied topically for wounds, burns and rashes, which is another benefit. But it's been used for many eons really, in Ayurvedic and particularly Indian sources, because it's of its benefits. It's, as I say, it's got so many benefits to it. In fact, they do say that if you take a teaspoon of ghee in warm water every morning, it's very, very, on an empty stomach, it's very highly beneficial, and it sets you up for the day. But it's got so many benefits. You can actually use it on the scalp, just using the ghee as it is, just massage it into your scalp, and that's particularly good for moisturizing your scalp if you've got dry scalp, or if you have hair loss problems. It's very good for hair growth, and it encourages that. It's particularly good for the hormones, all the women out there, or the men as well, but particularly the women that have hormonal imbalances. It's great for your menstrual cycle, for your mood. Ghee is a dependable source of critical oil-soluble vitamins A and E that are needed for a healthy liver, balanced hormones, and fertility. So anything to do with hormones, it will help with that, and also your cycle. Apparently, it can assist in weight loss. Now, how that works apparently is that ghee slows down the glucose absorption and it stops sugar spikes, so which is the major enemy of weight loss. So as opposed to butter, ghee consists of short chain fatty acids that are not stored as fat by the body. So it can help pull fat soluble toxins out of the cells and trigger fat metabolism, process where the body kickstarts to burn its own fat for fuel. It can relieve constipation for those that struggle, maybe because of diet. Yeah, it's just got so many benefits. I can't rate it enough. I mean, like I said, do your own research. I have this daily. I particularly use it for cooking. It's the one fat you can use. In fact, the only one I'm aware of that actually doesn't turn rancid, after you're cooking it. So it doesn't lose the benefits, and it still acts as an anti-inflammatory even after cooking. So it can be heated to a high temperature and not lose its properties. So it's beneficial even if you heat it. Whereas a lot of oils out there can obviously turn very, very damaging for the body when you heat them and consume them. So if you are going to do your cooking on a regular basis, frying, baking, then I would highly recommend using ghee. It's easily stored. Once it's made, you can store it in a container for a few months in the cupboard, certainly 3 months, somewhere cool, natural temperature. You don't need to refrigerate it, and it will be fine. Yeah, you can use it topically, you can take it internally. I prefer to take it internally because, as I say, I'm doing it with my cooking every day, especially working with this nutritionalist where I have to be dairy free. This is a really great way. You can also spread it on toast, on sandwiches, anything that, you can use it as a replacement butter. It's in spreadable format. It's not solid because this particular one that I use, it's actually quite easy to spread, whereas the bottom one is a little bit more solid, but you can still spread it. So yeah, it's got so many benefits, but Google them yourself, have a look and see how you get on. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to show you now. You can see this is starting to come to the surface. So what we want to do is we're just going to collect some of this surplus dairy milk solids, and obviously I don't want to take any of the ghee ideally, so as you can see I'm just going to move it and pop it in a little pot next to me. This is what the lengthy process is, and it's very time consuming, but in order to get as much out of this as possible before we do the filtration process, it's really key, and then it just helps. You are going to lose a little bit of ghee this way, but as I say, it's vital if you want it to be dairy free. For those that aren't too worried about the dairy, I mean, obviously you still need to move some of the milk solids to get the ghee, but you can just use the nut milk bag to filter it, just to get the worst off. That's not a problem. And yeah, so this is what you do. It's going to take a little while, so I'm not going to show you the whole process for this, but I will come back on here in a moment and show you the next stage once we've got rid of the milk from the top, and I'll show you what it looks like. And welcome back. This is about sort of 25-30 minutes since I just spoke, just to give you an idea of how long this can take. I'm still on number 5 at the moment on the electric heat. You can see the bubbles still coming up, and you can still see there's some dairy solids coming to the surface and the ones that are staying on the bottom. So what we want to achieve is where the bubbles are clear and we no longer have those milk solids that are coming up on the top. But we're not far off now, so we'll just keep going for a bit longer. And just to show you how much I've removed already, it's quite a bit. So I shall just pause it again and come back when we've finished. Okay, so as you can see, we're coming to the end now. You're going to still get a tiny, tiny bit. You can see where the milk solids are on the bottom and where they're caramelising. When you get to this stage, this is absolutely fine because we're going to be filtering out the very last bits anyway. So when it starts to go clear like this, you know you're near the end. And as I say, you've got all your solids there. So we can now turn it off and go to the next phase. Okay, so the best thing to do is when you transport it from the pots, probably to put it into a jug like this. You can still see there's obviously a few floaty bits on the top, but again, we're going to go through the filtration process, so we can get rid of that when we transfer it. So as I said before, you just need a glass jar, a funnel, and obviously a filter, coffee filter. And you're going to just pour that in. Now, this can take a while. As you can see, it's a little bit slow. Now, it starts off faster actually, and then it starts to get slower as the filter starts to get clogged. So this will take a little time. So I'll come back to it shortly when we've got close to filling it again. So here you can actually see where some of the remaining milk solids have stuck on the top of the filter, and you'll see from the liquid at the bottom it's clear, so it's filtering out all the remaining milk solids. So I'm just going to add to that some more in, just allow it to keep filtering. Okay guys, so just to show you, this is the first lot that I've put through, the first two lots I put through the filter, just to show you how transparent and clear and golden it is. So we've removed the milk solids and the lactose. Now what I tend to do, because I'm doing a larger batch, and you can see obviously I've still got more here to filter, what I tend to do is use two filters, because obviously the milk solids block up the filter after a while and it slows right down. Just to get the remaining oil out of the filter at the bottom, then what I do is I obviously be careful if it's too hot, because obviously the oil might still be warm from the pan, but if you've left it for a while and it's cooled, then obviously you can bunch it up with your fingers and just squeeze out without piercing the filter. I mean, these are quite strong, but then you can just squeeze the remaining out of the filter just to speed it up a little bit. Just a quick tip. But for now I'm just going to filter the rest. Okay guys, so this is been poured now, so I've just finished filtering it all. So just so you can see, it's done a full one of those jars, a smaller jar, and there was a little bit left over which I've used to top up my existing ghee which I had, and I'm just going to let that all set now. So we'll give it probably about 2 or 3 hours and we'll come back to it. Guys, so as you can see, they're starting to set. Obviously it takes a little bit longer when it's a bit warmer outside, but generally this is kind of the colour it will come to, which is the one I topped up earlier. So just give it long enough and just store in the cupboard. And I hope you like these, and if you like any more, please let me know, or any comments, please leave below. And hopefully I'll share some more things soon.